Battlefield 6 beta period is finally over, and I've got some thoughts I want to share. If you've never seen any of my videos before, and for reference, I would describe myself as a long-time Battlefield fan. I've been playing the Battlefield series since Bad Company 1, where I fell in love with this FPS series, and hell, I even enjoyed 2042 quite a bit, despite its many flaws. Like most of you, I want Battlefield 6 to be a return to form for DICE, and to pull the series back towards its roots like Battlefield 3 and 4. If I was a betting man, I would have gone all in on this beta having server issues. Hell, before I live streamed, I was banking on it. I was expecting queues and server stability issues, but I was completely blown away to see that everything was working perfectly. On Saturday morning, the first non-early open beta access day, I was put 60,000th in a queue, and I felt quite vindicated. But then literally 2.5 minutes later, I was in game. So great work, DICE. This will pay off massively. The Infantry gameplay feels like it's had the most work gone into it. It feels good, and while I was worried about the slow pace, I feel like they found a good balance. Initially, I was trying to play Battlefield 6 similarly to how I played 2042, and I found that I was having a really bad time. The pace of the game is much slower than 2042. Due to the more restrictive movement, you can't count on your mad zigzagging slide skills in order to prevent being nailed while out in the open. You need to take your time, hold angles, push when you see opportunities, and cling to cover. During my time in the beta, I mostly played the closed weapon conquest because I think that it leads to a healthier game balance, with people being forced to use weapons other than assault rifles. I love that DICE is at least giving us this option, and I would massively encourage you all to try it out if you haven't, especially if you like this kind of class restriction in previous Battlefield games. Not only is it more diverse, playing it shows DICE how much we value this feature. Most of the weapons feel good to play with, other than the LMGs, which feel a little awkward. The aim down sight speed of these weapons is incredibly slow compared to the others. You need to pre-aim most corners if you want to have a chance winning closer range fights. The SMGs feel so fast in comparison, with the ARs feeling somewhere in the middle. Don't get me wrong, I was still doing work with the LMGs, but the feel between these weapons was night and day. I think they need to make the LMG ADS speed a little faster. The time to kill felt a little fast also, but I do feel like something in the servers was making it seem faster than it actually is. For example, it felt like I was dying way faster than I was killing people, so maybe like the damage taken isn't being communicated to a player properly from the server. I'm not sure. Something seems off, and I hope DICE can figure it out. Pre-script note, it looks like something is in fact off, and DICE is looking into this. DICE has always done great with sound, but Battlefield 6 has gone above and beyond. Guns and vehicles, especially the jets, sound terrifying. I do think that enemy footsteps, something which I actually think 2042 does better than any other game, need some work. They're inconsistent. Sometimes I can hear people well, and other times I'm completely blindsided by an enemy swinging around a corner because I couldn't hear anything. There's definitely some room for improvement here. Stationary turrets are back, which is massive since it lets players who aren't engineer have some impact on vehicles. They no longer have to run and cower. On the maps we were on, there were plenty of tow launchers placed everywhere, which I use frequently. DICE also added anti-air emplacements, which I think is a good move on their part, but they absolutely shred aircraft, even at longer ranges. To me, I would think that they should be very strong up close, but have their damage fall off significantly at range, acting as a close range solution to aircraft around certain objectives, but meaning that they can't be used to destroy a chopper or a jet at the other side of the map, since if they can, it ends up leaving aircraft players to playing defensively in their spawn the entire game, making very little progress towards the outcome of the match. In an amazing case of someone using 110% of their brain, they made soldier dragging absolutely perfect, a feature that no one would probably have used in most cases, since the revive would have always been preferred, but by directly linking it to the revive, letting you pull the soldier back as you also get them up, it works amazing, and it's already led to some absolutely cinematic moments. Seriously, props to the team who was in charge of this, you guys nailed it. I'm very glad to see that they're planning on changing the engineers so that they cannot carry 2 launchers. I think being able to carry both a Stinger and an RPG was way too powerful. Having every single engineer on the map also have a Stinger made flying an absolute nightmare. If they are restricted to one, then by taking a Stinger, they are at least limiting themselves against ground armor as a trade-off. Finally, the weapon stats page is actually useful, giving us true in-game data instead of some random numbers, making it much easier to determine what your attachments are actually doing. I also like the point system in order to balance weapons, though I never found it particularly restrictive. Granted, I hadn't unlocked everything for all of the weapons by the end of the beta. Okay, so there's lots to discuss around ground armor, like so much, and I'm having a really hard time organizing it all into a coherent segment. Since it's not just about the vehicles, it's also about the dynamic which is created between vehicles and the engineer class. So I think my best bet is to describe how a high-scoring Battlefield 6 beta tank run goes, and then explain why I do not think that this is healthy for the game. So you roll out of spawn with your tank ready for some fights. Critically, you're backed by a team of at least 2 engineers who will hide behind you and repair the second you take damage. They are easily able to out-repair most sources of damage. Your movement is so slow and sluggish that you know if you're caught out, you cannot count on outmaneuvering your enemy or retreating, so it isn't worth the risk, so you don't push objectives. Instead, you sit outside of them farming kills. Additionally, if you are capping, you risk being enveloped by enemy engineers, and you're also unable to provide meaningful cover to your engineer and squad. The slow turret turn speed also exaggerates this problem. Tank fights are a tedious process. You don't need to move at all. In fact, you just sit still shooting the other tank until it dies. You don't need to worry about juking shots or exploiting cover because your repair squad can keep you in the fight. If the enemy vehicle is also being hailed, the vehicle fight is going to last for ages and involves very little input from both of you. In fact, there is more chance that the fight will end when one or both of you have to retreat to replenish ammo instead of someone getting the kill. So what's my point with all of this? Well, because vehicles lack the maneuverability, drivers are encouraged to play safe, and since the repair tool is so incredibly broken, you're completely punished if you try to play any other way. Engineers spawn with too many rockets for how much damage they do, so each engineer can easily solo kill an unsupported tank, even if they miss a few shots along the way, and just focus on the front armor. They aren't incentivized to save those rockets for the vulnerable rear shots, even though the rear shot damage has been massively boosted, which is something I actually love. I think that the vehicle should be made to be more maneuverable, the repair tool to repair much slower than currently, and also have diminishing returns if you're being repaired by multiple players. And I think engineers should be given fewer rockets so that they have to make their shots actually count, or team up with support players to replenish their ammo. I do like that vehicles do not have endless ammo needing to go back to replenishment stations, but I wish that ammo was given back at a much faster rate than current. I also like that they brought back vehicle rewards for teams which hold certain objectives. You can see an example of this on B and E objectives of Liberation Peak, which would provide main battle tanks. The IFV is insane now, since not only can it tear through infantry, one-shotting them with a direct hit, but it also acts as a movable spawn point for your team, ensuring that you always have a constant supply of engineers to keep you repaired. Needless to say, a good IFV player supported by a few engineers is absolutely the reason you lost a fair few of your open beta games, whether you noticed it or not. The main battle tank is really good too, with its main highlight to me actually being the passenger heavy machine gun, which two-shots infantry, which is way too powerful. And let me take a second to discuss the abysmal AA tank. If you haven't used it, that's not uncommon. It only spawns on the D point on Liberation Peak, and since it's a capture point vehicle, you can't spawn on it from the menu, having to run to it to use it. The main cannon is actually the worst thing that I've ever used in any Battlefield game. Where do I even start with this? The cannons sit on the left and right of the turret, and they work like the Nightbird cannons in 2042. Up close, the beams don't converge, forcing you to choose whether you want the left or right cannon to connect, so against infantry, you're completely screwed. The turret fires in 6-round bursts, which feels as horrible as it sounds, and the spread on these is insane, especially since they're supposed to be used to shoot jets and choppers that won't exactly be close to you. These weapons should have precision and should be able to shoot much faster if you want any hope of being able to kill aircraft with them. The anti-air missiles are currently good, but that's only because people haven't been given enough time with the aircraft that they know how to work around lock-ons. If they don't fix the main gun, this tank will be completely useless, mark my words. I was having lots of issues with my aim switching between third and first person in vehicles, where swapping would lead me aiming somewhere different. This is super annoying, and I sincerely hope it is fixed before release. The air vehicles feel particularly weak in their current state. Choppers suck. They fly like total ass and are built out of the cheapest one-ply toilet paper that you can find at your local prison. I understand that DICE might not want choppers to be as dominant in Battlefield 6 as they were in Battlefield 2042, but they've gone way too far. Don't believe me? I was able to finish off Apaches with the starting LMG not on one, but 2 occasions. These vehicles are way too vulnerable to ground fire. Look DICE, you added the really strong AA emplacements, which are very good at destroying choppers. There's no need to also have them be this susceptible to small arms fire. Fun fact, the main rockets are actually guided. If you shoot them, they track to where you're currently aiming, and you can use free look to guide them too. While the rockets absolutely melt infantry, I found that they weren't very good against vehicles, which I don't think is good. In order to do damage to armor, you need to score direct hits, and due to the horrible maneuverability of the chopper and the fact that you're taking fire from half of the map, this is very hard to do. Choppers are only given 2 batches of the 7 rockets before they're completely out of ammo. They should have more batches so they don't have to return to base to replenish quite so often. Initially, jets felt bad for me, mainly because I was trying to use the first-person aim on the bombs and the AGMs, which seemingly resets your plane's horizontal leveling, making aiming impossible, since as you're trying to be accurate with these, the game is pulling your aim in a different direction. It would have been great if these actually worked, because visibility is very bad from the sky, so it's hard to make out non-spotted targets. I quickly decided to stick to third person, and determined that free look is critical if you want to be able to make jets work. Unfortunately, the main cannon's bloom is incredibly rough, so you cannot beam infantry with it, which is unfortunate. So the only good way to interact with ground targets in these jets was to use the bombs. It actually turns out that the main cannon is similar to the 30mm cannon on the jets in 2042, with its intended use being armor. I'd unfortunately learned this too late to get much experience in on it. I will say that the main gun absolutely wrecks other aircraft. Like, it's not even fair. They have almost no time to react before they're dead. Hopefully this gets looked at a bit. Iberian Offensive and Siege of Cairo are 2 very similar feeling maps, and personally I would have tried to put something a little different in the rotation. Both are very infantry focused with few lanes for vehicles, and both are set in urban environments with lots of windows, doorways and alleys to try and keep an eye on. Take a look at this still. There are 3 enemies in this scene about to shoot you. You have 5 seconds to figure out where they are. No need to pause, here's a timer. If you said that they're behind you, you're correct. They are always behind you. This means if you didn't enjoy this kind of Battlefield map, you might have come out of the beta with some conclusions based on your experiences which are a direct consequence of these types of maps. For example, if you felt like you're constantly getting shot in the back when playing on these maps, well, yeah, this is just how the urban maps in Battlefield games typically feel. There are too many angles to humanly consider. Odds are you're going to take some bullets in the ass. And then on top of this, during the second week, they decided to release Empire State, an infantry-only urban map with no vehicles, further encouraging frustration from players who do not like these types of maps. Destruction is back and I'm all about it. Since Bad Company 1, the Destruction has played a massive part in making the Battlefield series stand out among other FPS games, but 2042 toned down the extent of destructible environments, and I think it was a massive mistake. Completely reshaping the battlefield in Battlefield 6 is an incredible experience, and more than that, it makes the game feel so damn immersive. Watching enemy units being engulfed by falling debris will never get old. Props to the team for figuring out that this is what makes Battlefield feel like Battlefield. I'm super happy to see an actually good scoreboard back in the Battlefield title after the garbage one that was in 2042. Once again, everything you do to help out your team gives you score now, not just the items listed on the other columns of the board. Damaging enemies, killing vehicles, spotting enemies, hell, even suppressing enemies is now reflected. Engineers are no longer getting shafted on the board since the game actually compensates you for damaging and destroying vehicles. What a time to be alive. Another feature which I love to see is the stay with squad button, which is offered at the end of the game. This is a good way for players to find new friends within Battlefield. 2042 sucked in this regard, with no server browser and only an awkward recent players list in order to try to find previous players which you enjoyed playing with. I suggested this feature a while back as it is easy to implement and helps you meet new battle friends. Also, all chat is on by default. That shouldn't have had to be a win, but in this modern gaming climate, I guess it is. Yay! Okay, so this last message is for DICE, so if you're not working at DICE, if you could just like mute the video right now, like that would be great. DICE, Battlefield 6 is going to be big. Your hard work is clearly paid off. Now you just have to stick the landing. I'm praying that your evil overlords at EA keep their grubby little hands off the series and let the game make money naturally without forcing ridiculous skins onto everyone and driving dedicated players who love the modern military aesthetic away. I hope that you will all stand strong and not facilitate the enshittification of Battlefield again. Anyway, those are my thoughts. How did you find the beta? Are you excited for Battlefield 6, or was this the last nail in the coffin for the Battlefield series for you? Personally, I'm so happy with the game's direction, and I'm very excited to see more of it. If you're also excited, be sure to subscribe. I'll be covering this Battlefield a lot more going forward, and if you would, please leave a like and comment as it helps get this video to more people. Hope you have a great day. Take care.